Welcome to another Worthless Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler, and I am here with my good friend, Cole. What is up, dude? Glad to have you on the podcast. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Mm-hmm. And thank you for the suggestion of White Claws. There we go.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, cheers, buddy.
Yep.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored whatsoever. I mean, we'll get there. We'll definitely get there.
Hopefully.
We'll be there soon.
We'll be there.
Yeah, because a theme of our hangouts thus far have been getting inebriated. That's how we actually met.
Yeah. It's a theme here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a good night. I'm very appreciative to Andrew for introducing us.
No, seriously.
Yeah, because we met at the Black Tiger Sex Machine show.
The Black Tiger Assessment, that was such a good show too.
Mm-hmm.
I think night 2 was definitely better than the first night.
Agreed. Yes.
The anime night was very fun, but night 2 was it was just, the music was good.
Yes. The vibes were there. The energy was top notch, and then also the openers. I thought all of the openers for Kaiwachi and Black Tiger Sex Machine were all a lot better than the first night.
Who were the openers again?
The only one I really remember is Memba.
Oh, yeah, I think I
remember
a little bit about that.
Yeah, they were fantastic, and they were everything I've wanted them to be. Because I haven't seen them since 2018, I think, when I saw them open for Odessa, but they were on at like 5 p.m. and they weren't that loud.
Ooh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
are you going to Odessa?
And this summer?
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, because
I haven't try and be there.
Right, yeah, because I haven't seen them this entire tour. So I haven't seen them since the Moment Apart tour.
Moment Apart tour. I've never seen them.
Oh, they're amazing, dude. They're amazing. I've seen them four times, I think.
Yeah.
Blew my mind every single time. Always an amazing show.
I feel like seeing them at the Gorge too would be just so
absolutely.
Good. So
it's about
good.
time they played there. It's about time.
Yeah, they haven't played there.
I don't think they ever have played there.
Ever?
Mm-mm. No, not to my knowledge.
You know who I wish I would have seen at the Gorge was when Rufus the Soul and Fred again were there.
Mm-hmm.
That looked like such a good show.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yes, I still need to see Fred again and Rufus the Soul. I've never seen them, but we'll get around to it at some point.
Yes, Sirski.
Mm-hmm. Do you got any other shows planned for the summer?
Not at the moment. No, I still on the fence on whether or not I might do Beyond.
Sure.
And that one would be really fun, especially going with because I know Andrew's going and you're going as well, so we'll be able to. It would be super fun. I'll try and make it to that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's going to be my one festival for this year that I'm really confident on, because I'm just not being back in the Pacific Northwest, and I kind of want to just spend my summer camping and hiking and doing all that other stuff and getting into really, really good shape, because I got that 50K this year, and then I got that ultra marathon Spartan race that I want to do. And it's just, festivals take so much time and money, and they really do a number on your fitness. You know?
They don't help you get more fit really by any means.
No, they're good for weight loss. That's for certain.
When you're fueled a whole weekend off of like 3 chicken tenders,
nothing but White Claw. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No. What hikes are you doing? Like you said, you're going camping and hiking. Like,
well, I'm just kind of doing everything across the state, all over Central Washington and whatnot. Yesterday, I did a hike out near Mount Rainier, and then tomorrow I'm going to go to Tiger Mountain and do Poo Poo Point. I'm gonna do Poo Poo Point
that's a fun
and hike
one.
that one. Yeah, so that'll be really sick. Yesterday in Rainier was really, really nice. Got and set up my camp spot, and then went and trail ran for a couple hours, came back, and then took a nap in the hammock after smoking a big fat J. It was a good time. But something fucked up that happened. I even take a video of it. I was like hiking into the woods to find my camp spot, and then I found a camping spot that was just completely, absolutely destroyed. Garbage everywhere.
No.
Yeah, it was like a crime scene, dude.
That's so sad to see, especially like if you go to like a camp spot and there's just like a bunch of broken bottles and things like that.
Yeah. Here's a video of it. Yeah, it took me almost an hour to clean up. Yeah.
Oh, so you actually cleaned it up?
Yeah.
The Good Samaritan?
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, I cleaned it up because I'm a great guy. I wasn't fucking happy about it though. Yeah.
Oh, whoa. Oh, my God.
Right?
Looked like Dirty Mike and the boys was there.
Uh-huh. Yeah. They definitely did a number on that spot. So sad to see, man. So sad to see. It's
Yeah.
like, why, like, you hiked all that shit in, so it's presumably, and there's all that water bottle and all those like extra beer cans and everything. all of that was full when you hiked it in. So at the end of the night, when it's empty, it's actually less weight to hike it out. It's actually easier to hike it out. All you have to do is throw it in a bag and throw it over your shoulder. But yeah, they left some tarps and like extra camping supplies, and I just threw it all in the tarps, wrapped them up, and then dragged them out.
It kind of looks almost like someone was like living there as opposed to like just like a camper.
It might have been, it might have been a homeless person.
Yeah.
Which is strange because it was like deep into Mount Rainier National Park. So yeah. Anyways. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But yeah, big camper, anything outdoors. That's where I'm going to try and spend most of my summer. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I always try and do at least one like good hike throughout the summer, like a long one. And usually I end up doing it solo because I hate the logistics of trying to like plan with other people of like, can we hike on this day? All right, can we meet here and then we'll go out there? Mm-hmm. I usually like I'll decide the day before. I'll be like, okay, I want to do a hike tomorrow, and then I'll go to like just wake up super early. I'll go wherever I'm gonna go, and like I did that with Kolchak. It's probably my favorite hike.
I love Kolchak, man.
So good.
Yeah. I used to do that one every morning before work. Yeah, I'd wake up at 4 a.m. and
do it before work.
Yeah, I would wake up at 4 a.m. Chug a bang or something, go run it, and then come back to work and start at like 8 a.m. So it'd take me like 90 minutes to complete.
Really?
Yeah, something like that.
See,
yeah.
I took my time. I like taking my time on my hikes because when I went, I packed up like probably like 40 pounds of gear. I had like a floaty. I had my hammock. I had a speaker. I just brought everything with me except for enough water. And the only thing that I didn't bring was enough water. And then I went up to the top and I just chilled. I set up shop. I put my speaker up in a tree, and then
just chilling
out for like a couple hours, and then I hiked back down.
Yeah. Kolchak's a beautiful hike. Well, I like running it because also I've just done it so many times, so I'm kind of used to it at this point. And then I'm just big into trail running, and then also it's a really difficult course on the way down, just sprinting down that thing
because they have that scramble like halfway down, right?
Yeah, I've been trying not to eat shit on that. is exciting. Yeah, because I've come really close to losing a lot of my front teeth. While running down that thing, but it's a blast. It's a blast. I mean, I love it. That's one of my few happy places is where I'm just jacked up on caffeine. I've got an insane amount of cannabis flowing through my brain, and I'm like blasting music, sprinting down the side of a fucking mountain. Yeah, listening to Footloose or something. Yeah.
Footloose. Yeah, High School Musical blasting in the AirPods.
That's right.
No, I mean, I love doing that. I mean, like whenever I feel like I need a break from like city life or anything like that, I'll just solo hike, and I don't know.
Yeah, that was me yesterday. It was really nice. Do that walk that we took earlier after sushi was perfectly timed because it just turned into standard Seattle weather where we're looking out the window and it's just dark and gloomy now.
No, literally,
and it's raining now.
Where'd the sun go? Like it was
it was here an hour ago, and that was a beautiful, nice ass walk after some sushi and beers, and then the lifting session before.
The lifting session was good. It was good. I was feeling nice and pumped up, sitting there trying to focus.
Yeah, and then we got Dune 2 tonight, which, dude, I can't wait. It's unbelievable because there hasn't been a movie that I've wanted to go back and see in the theaters over again in so long. It's probably the best movie I've seen in quite a while. What did you think of it? I mean, what was your favorite part of it? Do you know about Dune universe and everything, or are you big into sci-fi?
I like sci-fi. I mean, I watched it. My dad really loved Dune growing up, and so he forced me to watch like the old Dune movies.
Oh, the David Lynch one.
Yeah,
the weird one.
I watched it and I was like, I mean, it's all right. Like, I mean, I didn't know about it back then, so I wasn't like super into it.
It's not that accessible. The original movie.
Yeah, no,
it's a bit weird.
Yeah. So, but the new one, loved it. I remember, like, I was like really paying attention to the score of the movie throughout the whole movie because it's Hans Zimmer.
Yes,
and I was just like, I was noticing how it really sets the mood for every scene that you're in, and I was like, so good. I wanted to run it back immediately after watching it. I was like,
tonal perfection.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the lighting was good, even in like the dark scenes. It wasn't like the last episode of Game of Thrones where it was just like way too dark.
Yeah, and you couldn't see anything, and anything that you could see didn't make any sense.
Yeah,
and why it was happening.
Yeah, so Dune wasn't like that.
Yeah, I was thinking back to Game of Thrones recently because I started watching that new TV show Shogun. It's amazing.
I
it's
love
really,
that show.
It's really, really good. It's like, it reminds me of Game of Thrones when it was the first several seasons before it went to dog shit. And it's really remarkable to me how Game of Thrones really just fell off a cliff, and how there's so many other shows like that where the first season is fantastic and phenomenal and it keeps going, and then but just for some reason or another they decide to change their formula and do something different in the next seasons, and it just falls off an entire cliff. Westworld was like that.
I never got into Westworld.
Altered Carbon was like that.
Altered Carbon, I watched like the first season of that.
Yes.
Super good.
Super good. Second season, what a fucking pile of shit.
No.
The only reason I watched it was because I was in quarantine. And I was like, fuck it, whatever. I'll just keep watching this. And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse.
You progressively kept having to get more and more blasted to watch an episode.
I was like, I don't even know how to like roast this fucking pile of shit. You know, that's how bad it was. Yeah. And the second season became so bad that it became a TV show that I would get high and laugh at. It became a show where it's so bad it's funny.
We were just talking about this, weren't we? What show were we talking about?
She-Hulk. She-Hulk. Yeah, that's probably the worst TV show I've ever seen. It doesn't make a lick of sense, and I've shown it to people. Like, I've shown it to multiple people because of how bad it is.
I liked like the first like episode or two because I was like, there were some good jokes in there when the Hulk was actually in it. And I was like, okay, that's pretty good. Right. And then like it just kind of.
It really dips off. Yeah. Like my favorite part of the whole thing is when someone like publishes his, I think it was like her Tinder profile or something, or like her dating record or something online, and then everyone's calling her a slut online. And then she's like, everyone's calling me a slut, but it's like, you are a slut. Everything we've seen so far is indicative of you being a slut. She slept with like so many guys within a span of 24 hours or something like that. And then she catfishes that one guy. She goes onto a date she goes onto a Tinder as She-Hulk and posts her profile as She-Hulk, goes on a date with a guy as She-Hulk, takes him back to her place, has sex with him. In the morning, she turns back into her normal self. And then the guy, when he wakes up and sees her normal self, he's kind of all weirded out and wants to get the fuck out of there because she's like this weird, short, middle-aged, frumpy woman. And that's not what he signed up for. And that's not what he wanted to have sex with.
He's like, you mean you're not big and green 24/7?
Right. And then she's all upset because she doesn't like her for her. He likes her for She-Hulk. But it's like, that's what you advertised yourself as, and then you catfish this guy, and then you're confused that he's upset by that. Yeah. It's a very confused and directionless show. Any kind of point they make, they immediately undermine it.
That definitely is something to. Yeah, it's like you watch it and you're like, okay, like what is like every show you watch has like some sort of main point or like focus that they're trying to go towards. And I didn't pay super great attention, so I don't want people being like, he completely missed the point. But it was like, maybe it was just something that I wasn't really looking for the point in. It's kind of like a background.
It's not a smart show. It's a show not written by smart people. I'll tell you something that'll blow your mind is each episode cost $25 million to make. $25 million to make. I think there were 8 episodes, just under $200 million total for the entire show. And yet, when she's walking around the office as She-Hulk, like it looks weird. It looks like early 2000s CG, where like she's talking to people as She-Hulk, and the words that are coming out of her mouth don't match what she's saying. Like her mouth movements are different than what's being said. It looks so strange. The lighting was really fucked up. Yeah, it was completely directionless and weird.
I feel like that's been like a common theme that I've heard a lot of people complain about in more modern movies is the CGI just not being as good as it like used to be because they're not spending like these studios. They're more focused on like making a quick buck, getting everything out of there. So they're not spending a lot of time on the actual like making the CGI look good.
Right. Well, compare that to Dune 2 where the CG looks amazing and it's used as sparingly as possible. It's all about the big, large landscape, the scope of the world, and like great cinematography.
The cinematography was great.
Right. And then they add in the CG where it's needed. It's a very CG heavy movie, but you could argue that they used it as little as they needed to.
It was like more meant to like supplement rather than just like,
Exactly. Yeah. Whereas, Marvel movies like the Marvels, it was a big giant CG mess. There was a whole lot of stuff going on screen, but it didn't really look good and it didn't make any sense. And it was completely nonsensical. But like the thing about the Marvel is they'll reshoot and they'll remake all of their effects over and over and over again.
Really?
They don't plan anything out.
Brute force it.
Yeah, they don't plan anything out anymore.
Huh.
They stopped planning shit out. You can even tell in Endgame, like when Iron Man's in certain scenes, his body doesn't like the way it's attached to his face while he's in the suit. It looks different than in the first movie or in Iron Man 2 or Iron Man 3. Yeah, it looks a little bit off. But yeah, so what they'll do is they'll commission the movie and everything. They'll send all of the effects to an effects studio. And then halfway through the effects studio completing the special effects, the producers and Marvel will come back to them. It's like, we actually want it this way. And then they'll do that 3 or 4 times.
That has to cost a fuck ton.
Well, yeah, that's why the Marvels cost, what they're reporting anyways, is like over $300 million.
That's insane.
Over $300 million.
They're just
bonkers.
throwing money at it.
Bonkers. And it made less than $200 million domestically.
Did it really?
Yes. It's the biggest bomb in ratio to budget. It's the biggest bomb in movie history.
Huh.
Yeah. And I had so much fun watching that movie. It was such a fucking pile of shit. I laughed for most of the movie, but it was
Endgame?
No, the Marvels.
Oh yeah,
the Marvels, the movie with Captain Marvel, and then the two. You don't even know what I'm talking about. The Marvels.
I didn't even watch those.
It's the
movies.
movie with Brie Larson. It's the movie.
I didn't watch any of those.
I know. No one is anymore. No, like I'll bring up a new Marvel or a new superhero movie to people, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" Which is so crazy considering where they were 5 to 10 years ago.
No, yeah.
When a Marvel movie came out, it was an event, and everyone knew about it, and everyone like, "Shut up! I don't want to hear about it because I'm going to see it tomorrow."
Yeah,
don't spoil it for me. We're not there anymore. Now, superhero movies are a thing to get high and go to the theater and make fun of.
Because everyone's tired of superhero movies.
Yes.
It's like you've seen all the superhero movies. Everyone, like, it's all the same story. It's like I was broke and poor, or like my parents died, or like I'm a genius, but now I have superpowers.
Right. There's gonna be a sky portal.
Yeah.
And a ton of CG, and they're gonna make really, really dry, shitty jokes. And and half the jokes are gonna be like, "Well, that was a thing that happened."
Oh, yeah.
Which are really the bottom of the barrel in terms of jokes. And then like it's the fact that Marvel and Disney as a company is all of the creatives, all the original creatives from Disney and Marvel's golden days, they're gone. They've all been pushed out by people who are more concerned with inclusivity, diversity, all that other bullshit. Yeah.
Boo. Tomato.
Yeah, it's so fucking gay.
You know what's crazy is I saw a TikTok recently. I told you I'm addicted. Is talking about how like not Tony Stark. Fuck.
Anakin Skywalker.
No, like the guy who plays Tony Stark.
Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, I don't know why I forgot his name just now. That's
RDJ.
Robert Downey Jr. He had a complete rebrand. Like apparently casting him for Iron Man was like a huge thing.
Yes, he was a huge insurance liability.
Yeah, because they wouldn't fund him to be on set because he was like such a fuck up.
Yeah, he's such a problem.
And then now like being Iron Man, and like he also credits like his wife to like his like recovery and everything like that. And it's like, being a younger person, kind of like not really seeing the initial Robert Downey Jr. side, only knowing him as Iron Man is crazy because it's like, I didn't even know that he was like.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He used to be like, he was the running joke of the guy who's the burnout actor who's addicted to drugs and alcohol. He was the quintessence of that. When you wanted an example of that, he was the guy. Yeah. And then, he went through recovery and everything. And then Jon Favreau, who's the first director of the Iron Man, he fought to get RDJ onto the set and cast in the film. But yeah, he was such a giant insurance liability that they wouldn't fund it.
Huh.
Yeah. But like it's in stark contrast to where he is now, where he just won an Oscar for Oppenheimer,
Oh shit! Yeah, he was in Oppenheimer too.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah, he got best supporting actor in that.
That was a
movie.
good movie too.
Which he earned that. He earned that. I mean, Ryan Gosling was in close contention with that for Ken, but I honestly think that he was a close second. I don't think he should. I don't think he should have won it, but he was definitely a close second. That's how good he was in Barbie.
He was honestly the real star of Barbie.
Yeah, everyone knows that he's the best part of Barbie. Whenever anyone talks about the Barbie movie, it's about Ken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I loved how at the Oscars he did a live performance of "I'm Just Ken" with all of the other.
Did he
Ken's,
really?
Yeah, he wore a pink sparkly suit, and then he sang "I'm Just Ken," and then he sung along all of the other Kens from the movie, like the Asian Ken and the black Ken and everything. And I think it was Hollywood's acceptance of the fact that it's like, yeah, we all understand you like Ken more than Barbie, even though that's not exactly what we intended for the movie.
Yeah, I remember watching it. Like I'd went and I watched it, and I was like, okay, this is a good movie, but I know, like, I'm sitting here knowing I'm not who this movie was aimed at all.
I'm not supposed to sympathize and empathize with Ken as much as I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not what they intended. Yeah. Well, it's like I think it's like a feminist manifesto in terms of messaging. But again, it's another movie where any kind of feminist point they try and make, they completely undermine it immediately.
Really?
Yeah. So like, okay, at the beginning of the movie, when the Barbies are all pursuing their careers, hanging out, and just telling each other how beautiful they are, the Kens are just hanging out, being essentially second-class citizens with what I can only surmise is being homeless as well. Because later on the Barbie movie, the little girl asks Barbie, "Where did the Kens stay?" And she says, "I honestly don't know." So you can surmise from that the Kens just, I don't know, I guess they just stand in a corner at night and then wait for the Barbies to get done with their girls' night, and then they go and cheer on the Barbies in the next day. Ken goes into the real world, comes back to Barbie Land, brings the ideas and knowledge that he's learned, and enables the Kens to find agency and be the kind of men that they've always wanted to be. They're hanging out, drinking beers, lifting weights, having a good time, and they're finally happy. They're finally getting the attention of the Barbies. And the Barbies are actually happy as well. The Barbies say that they're happy as fuck. They're hanging out. They're hanging out with the Kens, not using their brains, as they said, just dressed in maid outfits, bringing them brewski beers. And the Kens are finally getting the attention they've always wanted. And the Barbies are being treated like the queens they are. And then at the end of that, Barbie starts like an underground mujahideen in order to overthrow the Kens and trick all of the other Barbies into not being happy. Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. It's like all of the Barbies are having a good time, and the Kens are actually happy as well for the first time. They finally have access to what they've always wanted, which is the attention of the Barbies. And now we're going to take that away from them. And the Kens go to war with each other because when the Barbies swap places with all the Kens and then redirect their rage at each other, the Kens don't direct their anger at the Barbies, even though that's what they should do, because the Barbies are mistreating them and misleading them. But because the Kens hold the Barbies in such high regard, they don't assume that the Barbies are doing anything untoward. Why would they? Because the Kens wouldn't do that to the Barbies. The Kens wouldn't do that to the Barbies because of how much they care for them.
Yeah.
And
they
then
always are at the
right. And then because of that, the Kens have to go to war with each other while the Barbies take away the Kens' rights and reestablish Barbie Land. Yeah.
They disestablish the Kens.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Instead of getting equal rights for the Kens and to where the Barbies and the Kens are equal with one another, no, they return the Kens back to their second-class citizenship and put themselves back in power after maybe 72 hours of them being out of power. Yeah.
They had a short
so
reign.
And that's my interpretation of the Barbie movie, and I've gotten into many an argument with a woman over that. I'm like, yeah, Ken's the hero of the movie. He's the good guy. Yeah, I mean, if you do the Barbie movie and you go to that part where Ken finally gets his Mojo Doja Casa house, and he's not happy to be throwing Barbie out of his Mojo Doja Casa house. He just figures like, this is what I should do because this is how she's always treated me.
This is just what you do.
Yeah, he's traumatized and he's crying when he's throwing her printed palazzo pants out the out the window at her and onto the ground. He's crying as it's happening, and then Barbie runs away crying as well. And Ken's like, I just have to accept this as my reality, but he's not happy with it. If you cut to the part where Barbie's crying right after that, and you end the movie, perfect movie. Perfect movie. Yeah, the Kens remain in power. They're just hanging out, chilling, lifting weights, driving their Hummers.
What kind of Ken do you believe that you would be?
I mean, the best Ken.
The best Ken.
Yeah.
Head Ken.
Head Ken.
Head Ken in charge.
I mean, I might be second best Ken. I don't know. Any Ken is really enough. I wouldn't really care
as long as I'm not.
As long as I got a Barbie in a maid's outfit bringing me a brewski beer.
A brewski.
Yeah. While I ride my horsey. Yes, I'm down. I don't care what it is. Mm-hmm. But that being said, I love the Barbie movie. I've seen it probably 5 or 6 times, something like that.
Have you really?
Yes, absolutely.
I've
shown it to people. I watched it with my grandma. Watched it with my sister. Yes.
I can't think of very many movies that I've seen that many times.
There's honestly only a handful of movies I've seen more than that. Yeah.
I think the only one really that I have seen would be like, have you ever seen The Princess Bride?
Yes.
Banger.
You kill my vibe.
Banger of a movie. Surely you have a dizzying intellect.
A battle of wits.
Oh, that's bro. So I might watch that later.
Such a good movie. Such a good movie. Yeah. Yeah. And then in stark contrast to like going back to the CG thing, because I've recently rewatched The Matrix. They put it on Netflix, and Godstone didn't watch that. Showed it to my sister. We had an amazing time. It was her first time watching The Matrix, and it's unbelievable seeing the like $300 million budget movies nowadays, and then comparing it to The Matrix, which came out over 20 years ago. It came out in the 90s, and it had maybe a fifth of the budget of that. And the CG looks insanely better. It's not even close. Yeah. But like you're using computers that didn't exist.
I remember
back 20 something years ago.
The first time someone told me that The Matrix was actually like, it was supposed to be like really philosophical. Like it was based off of a lot of different like philosophical like.
Yeah, it's like a Jesus analogy, the whole movie. With like Neo and everything, he's the one. He dies and then he comes back to life. You know,
but
he's set to break everyone out of bondage. You know, he's trying to save all the humans from the Matrix.
I didn't even think about it from the Jesus point of view.
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah,
no, I honestly have only seen the first one though.
That's fine. You don't need to see any more. That's fine.
I think I tried to watch the second one. I got like halfway through. I was like, this just isn't hitting.
Yeah, I watched the second and the third one because I think I was locked inside. I think it was during the quarantine. I finally watched the second and the third one. And I watched all of them like actually quite inebriated, trying to just get through them. And then I finished both of them and I'm like, yeah, I'm only going to watch the first one from now on.
No, only the first one.
Like the highway chase scene of the second one's cool. But it doesn't save the rest of the pile of shit that the rest of the movie is.
It's not like a song where there's like one good part of a song that makes the whole song worth listening to.
Right. It's like one good song on an album that's just totally dog shit.
Do you spend any time watching movies that are like in like nodding in English? Like,
yeah. I love Korean movies. Train to Busan's probably my favorite zombie movie ever.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never seen that one.
You've never seen Train to Busan?
No.
Oh my God. It's
amazing.
The
one that I was thinking about in my mind is
Parasite?
No, it's not a Korean one. It's actually Chinese. Everyone knows it. It's Ip Man.
Yes.
I fucking love that movie. All of those movies except for
number 4. I didn't love number 3.
Number 3. The one with Mike Tyson in it.
Yeah,
wasn't the greatest. One is good, 2 is good. And surprisingly, the one when he's young, actually pretty good too. But the first one, nothing beats the like when I was watching it for the first time, and there's the scene in the first like where he's where he fights like 10 of the Japanese like the karate students.
Yeah,
I was standing in my living room like shouting at the TV. Like, I remember sitting there. I was like doing karate moves in my living room, just like fucking yeah.
Yeah, that movie's fantastic, and also just such a phenomenal story, and how much of it was actually true. Where the Japanese came into this Chinese town, where Ip Man's this very well-off martial artist who's essentially a local hero.
Yeah.
The Japanese come in, kick the Chinese army's ass, and then throw everyone into bondage, and then treat them as second-class citizens. It's actually phenomenal how poorly the Japanese mistreated the Chinese during that war.
Oh, Japan's had a crazy rebrand since the wars.
Yeah,
like because
their whole attitude was these people aren't people. So
Yeah.
we can treat them however we want.
Yeah, like the Japanese, they were like known for like you didn't want to get caught in like a Japanese POW camp.
Nope.
Like, and they were like just did the worst of the worst to people, and then all of a sudden, you know, we drop a couple bombs,
Mm-hmm.
and then now that's like anime cutesy, everything is it's a complete rebrand.
Right. Yeah, because we bombed the shit out of them and then occupied their country afterwards, and then turned them into a proper democracy,
A proper one.
That's right.
How many people do you think you're like, you know how like you run into like a Kyle or something like that, and he like his grandpa has like old like Nazi gear.
Mm-hmm.
How many people do you think are like in Japan and like they're like, oh yeah, my grandpa has like this like the rising sun flag in his like chest or something like
There actually wasn't a lot of that, because in Japanese culture at that time, if you went to war and came back alive, you were seen as like a coward. Like you brought shame upon not just yourself, but your family, all your neighbors, your entire community. Like have you seen the new Godzilla Minus One?
No, I really want to see that. I've heard good things.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Like, it's a good Godzilla monster movie, but just the story, it's a human tragedy drama, and it's absolutely beautiful, and I loved every minute of it.
It was written very well.
Yes, incredibly written. So it follows this kamikaze pilot who's he decides not to off himself. He decides not to crash his plane. He gets scared and then flies his plane back to base. And then when he gets back to the island where his base is at, that's when Godzilla attacks.
Mm-hmm.
And then the war ends. He returns to Tokyo, and everyone finds out like, why you're a kamikaze pilot? Why did you return alive?
Ooh.
Even if he said that he had mechanical failure and he couldn't crash his plane, even then that's not an excuse.
Yeah,
that's not an excuse.
Like, there's no excuses.
Yeah, so he's treated as just a piece of shit. He's treated as just imagine he's treated worse than the village drunkard. That's how low a standing he has in their culture at that point.
That's terrible.
Yeah,
because at least someone will take care of the drunkard. Like,
right?
Like you throw a blanket on him or something.
Yeah, or then the drunkard's at least like a friendly guy half the time, and so you have a reason to like him. But yeah, he's seen as less than that. And then it's his story of reintegrating back with society while Godzilla attacks Japan.
Is it kind of like his like redemption? Like, well,
yes, yes, and it's awesome. And the movie was made on a shoestring budget. I think $15 million.
Some of those movies are always like those ones that are like barely made on like a budget end up being some of the greatest movies.
Yeah, because the limitation in resources forces you to be creative. If you have unlimited resources like they do with like Marvel or a lot of the Star Wars movies, where it's like you have a $200 to $300 million budget as a given, you don't have to be as creative. You don't have to, finagle and MacGyver your way into making stuff work and to being creative and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that's why. And it's crazy because the CG in the movie actually looks really solid for it being a $15 million movie and it having a super tiny cast and staff to make it. Yeah.
Have you seen The Lighthouse?
The Lighthouse. I have not seen that.
It's
it's that black and white movie with Robert Pattinson and the guy who played Joker. No, not Joker. Green Goblin.
Yeah.
William Dafoe.
Yeah. It's really well made. An interesting movie. But like, definitely I was watching it and I was like, I'm like uncomfortable. I'm uneasy watching it. But it's like, it's a good movie. There's some really funny scenes in there, but it's like, it's very interesting to watch it. I had Andrew watch it recently. Yeah. And he's like, I kind of liked it.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll do like a movie weekend at some point. Yeah, because you have to see Train to Busan. It's this guy picking up his daughter in Korea, and then as they board a train, from northern Korea all the way like to southern, like to Busan, the city of Busan, that's when the zombie outbreak happens. And then some zombies get onto the train, and it's them trying to fight and survive against the zombies while on the train.
You said that's your favorite zombie movie?
I think so.
Really?
Yeah, and it's all in Korean. Yeah, it's so good. And then they made a sequel to it, and it's just a pile of shit. Yeah.
That happens so often. But you know what franchise has like held its own like through every movie that's been like they've put out has been a just banger.
Fast and Furious?
No. Kung Fu Panda.
Kung Fu Panda, true.
All bangers.
That's true.
Every single movie is a banger.
That's quite true, actually. That makes me sad because it reminds me of they're coming out with Toy Story 5.
No.
I know.
Boo.
I know. It's like, why couldn't you didn't need to make Toy Story 4?
I thought that the 4 was like they're like goodbye, like okay, we're done.
Yeah, they're at the carnival and then Woody and Buzz separate. Yeah. There's no more story to tell. And even with Toy Story 4, they were reaching.
It felt like you're like it wasn't.
It seems unnecessary.
Yeah, like 3 would have been a good cutoff point.
Yes, it would have been perfect cutoff point. It's the finality to the series, and it's when Andy's playing with that little girl and he's passing off his toys at the end of the movie.
Yeah,
I wanted to cry. I wanted to cry because I'm like, this is such a beautiful moment. And then he drives off into the sunset, and she's hanging out with her new toys, and all of the toys have a wonderful new home. But now you had to go to Toy Story 4, which was fine. It wasn't a bad movie. But now they're going to Toy Story 5. And I can't believe that the cast is actually returning for it.
Are they really?
Yeah. I don't think who's the guy who voices Buzz?
Woody Allen?
No, Tim Allen.
Tim Allen.
I don't think he's coming back because he wasn't in Buzz Lightyear, the other Pixar movie where they did a movie of him.
Yeah,
that movie sucked.
I heard
it was so you know how nowadays how movies like to take old characters, established characters who were like strong, like leading males, and then undermine them, emasculate them, and just make them like worthless and kind of useless. And
Ghostbusters,
right? Yeah, and then they replace them with a strong female lead, diverse female lead. That's what they did with Buzz Lightyear. They just turned him into he just became something to make fun of.
That's terrible.
And it wasn't even voiced by Tim Allen. It was voiced by the guy who did Captain America. Yeah.
Oh, fuck, what's his name?
I can't remember. Again, he's not Chris something. Chris something. See, and he's not even like a big movie star. Like he's a movie star technically, but Captain America is his flagship thing, like, and he's known and he's known as Captain America. He's not known for being an amazing actor.
What do you mean, bro? He's Flame On from Fantastic Four.
Oh man, that movie's hilarious too. That was a really funny movie.
It was an interesting one for sure.
It was when they were really trying to feel out the whole superhero genre. They didn't have an idea of what to do yet.
Yeah.
That
was when they were doing like what was the bad guy, like Silver Surfer or some shit?
I think so. Oh yeah, and they're coming out with the new Fantastic Four, and they recast the Silver Surfer as a chick.
Did they really?
Yeah, they made the Silver Surfer a chick now, dude. I mean, it's just literally every single movie now is
put a chick in it, make her gay.
It's ridiculous, man.
Make her drive a Subaru.
That's right. Yeah, put a diverse woman in it. Make it more fucking lame. Yeah, it's like you guys can't come up with a better idea than to replace an already established character and just change their race and make them more diverse. And then people always say, it's like, well, why do you have a problem with that? I'm like, well, why do you have a problem with it being the way it is?
Yeah, you know what's funny is I saw a lot of people talking about it of like, say like they make it like a different race. I saw people, it was like a TikTok, and like all the comments were like people of the race that they were changing it to, being like, why are you doing this? Like, just make a new character that is our race. Like, like we want to have our own thing. We don't want to change yours.
Right. Why are you giving black people sloppy seconds of a character who's already established as being white or something? Yeah. It's like, I wouldn't, if there's an amazing established character, I don't want them race swapping them to make them Mexican just to accommodate me, apparently, which you're just pandering, and it's not pandering that I appreciate. It's pandering that really pisses me off, and you're not even trying. It makes you look. I would argue that Disney and a lot of these other movie companies are more racist than they've ever been.
Really?
Yes.
Talk more about that.
Because they think that in order for a person to relate to a character, in order for a person to identify with a character, they have to look like them. I identify and I relate to Hermione Granger in the Harry Potter series. Mm-hmm. She's as far as you could get from me. She's a small ginger white girl. Yeah, with a really nasally voice and who's kind of annoying and is the teacher's pet. Yeah, in all of that. And yet I still relate to her, and she's very much one of my favorite characters in the entire show. Don't change her into a Hispanic little boy.
That'd be pretty sick, though.
But they assume that's what these people's view is. All they see is through race. That's all they care about is just checking another box.
It's race and who you fuck.
Yes, it's race and who you fuck. It's all about your gender. It's all about your sexual attractions. And that's all they see. They can't see the world outside of that lens. And because of that, they're racist. They are racist. Yeah. That is what you are, is you're not only diluting an established franchise and character, mm-hmm. but you're also altering it and destroying it and pissing off a lot of established lore in the process in order to accommodate what you think would be necessary to be inclusive.
Yeah.
Even though no one asked for it and you're the only one who wants it. Yeah.
No, that definitely... Yeah, it, like you said, it's like the right word. It's like it deludes it.
You are racist if you think that way. If you think that the only valuable thing about Falcon in Captain America is that he's black and that therefore makes him special, you're racist. No, it's not about him being black. It's about his character. It's about his story. It's about his ideas and his journey.
It almost like takes like the humanity out of it, because like that's what you would relate to normally with a character, is like the humanity that they show. It's like, oh, this hardened character is like, loves this one person or something, whatever, like sort of road you want to go down. But instead now it's just like, hey,
he's a black guy.
He's Mexican. He's a black guy. Or like, she's a lesbian now. Don't you feel included?
Yeah. I mean, they're even doing it with 40K, which is, you don't know what 40K is, right?
I don't.
Okay, Warhammer. Warhammer 40K. Imagine Star Wars, but there's no good guys. It takes place in the 41st millennium. It's the Imperium of Man, which is like this galactic spanning empire, and they're at war with tons of other alien races, and all of those alien races are at war with humanity and each other. It's a place where the only thing that you can guarantee is war. It's a very dark and very somber setting. Mm-hmm. And it's hardcore and edgy as hell, and it's awesome. So
is that like a show or a game?
It's a tabletop game. It's a tabletop game where you glue together miniatures, paint them, and then you put them on a table like a general, and then you go to war with each other. There's also video games. There's tons of books. There's magazines. There's like an insane amount of lore.
Okay,
like,
so this is like a big thing.
Yeah, so
I'm
how
kind
Star
of under
Wars
a rock,
right? Yeah, how Star Wars is an established universe. Imagine Warhammer, but at a larger scale than Star Wars even.
Oh, because they put a lot more into it. Like you said, there's like,
there's so many different factions and different kinds of characters on all sides. Even in the Imperium, there's like 12 different factions, sub-factions of the Imperium of Man. Yeah. And so let's take a quick break and I'll show you real quick.
They shall be my finest warriors, these men who give themselves to me. Like clay I shall mold them, and in the furnace of war forge them. They will be of iron will and steely muscle. In great armor shall I clad them, and with the mightiest guns will they be armed. They will be untouched by plague or disease. No sickness will blight them. They will have tactics, strategies, and machines, such that no foe can best them in battle. They are my bulwark against the terror. They are the defenders of humanity. They are my space marines, and they shall know no fear. All
right, and we're back. So I just showed you Warhammer, and That's what I'm into. But it's crazy because this is such a hardcore, edgy universe in which humanity's kind of been backed into a corner where they're this dogmatic religious zealots, and they have a state religion, and it's a very dark and not great place that humanity's in. But because of all of the messed up stuff that's happened to humanity over the past 10,000 years, this is where they've had to arrive at in order to survive. And they're at a point where they're at war with every other species that is existing in the galaxy. And they're constantly having to deal with infighting and rebellions on their own side.
Wait, so then are the super soldiers that you were telling me?
Yeah,
what are
the Space Marines.
Space Marines. Are those supposed to be like humans?
Yes, they're humans, but they're almost not human. They're superhumans at this point. They're abducted as kids, brought into the chapter. They're psycho indoctrinated into the chapter and indoctrinated into a way in which they're serving the Emperor of Mankind, who's the leader of humanity and lives on.
All for democracy.
Right.
have you played
Helldivers?
Helldivers?
Yes, amazing game. Helldivers 2, probably one of the best games ever.
So
but yeah, that's just a shoot 'em up fun game where you're just killing space bugs. I didn't want any politics in it. It was just straightforward, fun game to play with the boys.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. But then going back to Warhammer, it hasn't even escaped it now. Because now this is the thing that's happened in the last week or so, actually. So you have the Adeptus Astartes, which are the Space Marines, which are the genetically modified super soldiers of humanity sent to fight against the worst evils of the universe. There's also these guys named the Adeptus Custodes, which are the superhuman bodyguards of the Emperor of Mankind. They're the guys who guard him and protect him against the worst evils and threats in the galaxy. And there's 10,000 of them. And they're even a step above the Space Marines, the Adeptus Astartes. But within in the past week, there was a thing that came out in the new codex for them, for their lore, saying that there's now a female Adeptus Custodes. Even though for the past 30-some years, there's never been one. And there's never been a female Space Marine. Because it disagrees with their biology. Because the way in which it was originally made for Space Marines to become super soldiers, for people to become Space Marines. It just doesn't agree with female biology. And humanity's at such a stage now, after 10,000 years of decrepit and war, that they've kind of lost the knowledge to even experiment and try something else.
Oh.
Yeah. But Games Workshop just put out a thing saying that there are now female Adeptus Custodes, even though there's been no history of it. And it's like, why would you need a female Adeptus Custodes? Because you want them to be the strongest and most powerful warrior possible to defend your humanity's leader, the Emperor of Mankind. And then what they did is, when people lashed out about this on Twitter, they started gaslighting people and saying there's always been female Custodes since they were first created.
They tried to Mandela effect it.
Yeah, exactly. Even though everyone knows that's not the case, and anyone who's paid attention to this setting is well aware that that's gaslighting. You're just gaslighting us and telling us that it's not the truth. And then they started blocking everyone on Twitter who disagreed with them. Yes. So they pissed off so many people. And then people started doing deep dives into it and kind of figured out why this is happening. Because Vanguard and BlackRock, those evil investment groups who are all about DEI and injecting it into as many companies as possible.
Gotcha.
They've bought Games Workshop stock within the past several years. And so now
you have to keep them happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and people have been trying to make female Space Marines for years. Even though no one wants that. No one wants that. Anyone who's into the hobby and is into the lore doesn't want that. Because if you establish female Space Marines, it would undermine all of the other female factions. Like there's whole female armies called the Sisters of Battle, which are the militant arm of the state religion, and they're all female. Because the ecclesiarchy there was a rule written that's saying they're not allowed to have any manpower. They're not allowed to have an army. Because they started a rebellion so early in humanity's history.
Gotcha.
And so, but now they have a female army, and then they also have the Sisters of Silence. So there's these two female armies that have always been, and that we want more new models for, and we want more lore for. But instead of adding on to those or establishing a completely new female army, you take in this already established lore and army and one that people care about, and then you alter it and then gaslight everyone into thinking that it's always been that way.
They put a chick in it and make it gay.
They put a chick in it and they made her gay.
Put a chick in it, make her gay.
Yeah, that's what they're doing now. It's what they're doing now. And I thought Warhammer would always be safe from that because it takes place in the 41st millennium where survival is your only concern. You're not concerned about diversity. You're not concerned about inclusivity.
Yeah.
And Warhammer has always been a diverse setting. There's always been plenty of female characters and characters of different races and religions and everything. But now they're trying to change it just like they did everything else.
Yeah, they're just trying to change something that's already established.
Yeah, just like they did with Star Wars. Remember when Disney bought it and then they retconned all of the previous lore that had been expanded upon, like Lobaka and Luke Skywalker having a family and everything. They essentially retconned all of that was written in the books before the Disney sequels came out, and then they got rid of all of that, and they turned Luke Skywalker into a bisexual man, and they got rid of his family.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I know. People don't know that. But yeah, in the official Disney lore, Luke is bisexual. Yeah, he's a curious man.
How do you know that?
Right, because it's in the books that they came out with.
Oh, they like re-released new books.
Yeah, they basically rewrote the entire universe.
Really?
Yeah, that had been going on for 20 to 30 years, and they turned Luke gay.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they got rid of his nuclear family and they turned him gay. But like that's what they're doing with everything now, you know. And like I can't.
He likes dicks sometimes,
right? He's like I don't fuck with guys, like not really, but sometimes, you know.
Yeah. Maybe, you know.
Yeah, that's him. But like it's crazy because I see it, and I get why people have so much backlash for what's going on with Warhammer, like the whole Adeptus Custodes thing. It's like you turned one character into a chick. You did one.
Yeah.
But like that's not the point. It's like people are getting mad about you changing one character, and it's like, dude, that's not the point. Because
it's the principle of the matter.
Right. You give an inch, they take a mile. Yeah. We saw how they altered and changed some of the characters for Star Wars, and now look at where Star Wars is at. They put a chick in it and they made Marvels, like the whole Marvel superhero universe. They made that diverse, or they tried to.
Yeah.
And now look at where that's at. You keep destroying franchises with diversity, because every time you try and make a story or a setting more diverse and more inclusive, according to you, because people are defined by their race, all the time you're spending on that is time you're not spending on character development and story and making the movie entertaining, which is what it's supposed to be in the first place.
It's just trying to please everyone.
Right.
And it's like when you try to please everyone, you're going to end up not pleasing really anyone.
Right, because it's so insincere.
Yeah.
It's completely fake and insincere, because like it's really fucked up nowadays too, because if I'm watching a TV show or a movie or something and I see a black person in it, or I see like an Asian person in it, like I have some sort of like Spider-Man tingle. It's like, oh man, they probably just put this person in this movie to make it diverse and like check a checkbox on how many black people they were supposed to have with this movie. You know, like that's
not.
That's
like,
I know, but like that's where I'm at now. But then I see the character give a wonderful performance, and like the character actually has a point to them, and I feel like a piece of shit for thinking like, they probably just put him in this movie to make it diverse.
I mean, and like okay, and like we're talking about like how like everyone's trying to be so inclusive, but it ends up making people, it ends up not pleasing as many people as you would want. But then like how, what is his name, Jordan Peele?
Yeah,
went and made his own movies for like he's like, this is going to be, you know, made by a black director for like black people. People love it.
Yes,
because it's not trying to be inclusive. It's just being like, it's not for everyone. He said it's, you know, it's for us.
I'm making something for me. Making something for me. And what I love about Jordan Peele is he didn't take an already established franchise. He didn't he did his own thing. He made his own thing, which is all we ever wanted, If you want to make a super diverse, inclusive movie with all your woke ideology or something like that, go do it over there. And come up with your own story. Don't just adopt and then hold down and rape an already established franchise and turn it into your own thing. Yeah. Because we know why you're doing it that way. We know why you're adopting an already established franchise. It's because you suck. You're not creative and you can't come up with your own thing. So you're just going to take something that's already established and then and then deform it and turn it into something else, because you're not talented enough to come up with your own thing. That's why. That's why you're doing it.
It was super refreshing to have his movies come out, and it was like something new. It was like something that
they're weird.
We hadn't seen before, and it was like you said, it wasn't like this character that's already established, and then they just try and change it to the times. It was like it's a fresh new thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's like same with Star Wars, same with Star Trek, same with even Warhammer. Why are you taking like political issues, problems, and ideas from the 21st century and then supplanting them to this fictional like sci-fi universe in which those problems shouldn't exist?
Yeah. I mean, that's like when people try and look up like historical figures and hold them to the standard of like today.
No, it's completely different context.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and you're just like, yeah, maybe like they might have done some shitty stuff or something like that, but it's like, that was the standard back then. Like that was, I don't know.
Yeah. Do you think the Roman legions were concerned with diversity? No, we're concerned with having the biggest, strongest standing army possible. So we could kick everyone's asses.
Exactly.
That's what it was all about. This is the first time in humanity's history where we have such a cushy life that we're concerned with diversity within art.
Are we about to talk about the Roman Empire right now?
I mean, yeah, we're dudes. We're dudes. So, of course, we're always thinking about the Roman Empire.
The Roman Empire. All roads lead to the Roman Empire.
Well, yeah, that's a thing within Warhammer even. We're crossing the Rubicon.
No way.
Yeah, crossing the Rubicon. So Space Marines, they've already been established and fighting for 10,000 years. Mm-hmm. But there was this hidden army of Space Marines where one of the Primarchs, who was like the sons of the Emperor, Rabute Gilliman, he gets strucken down during a rebellion that happens 10,000 years in the 30th millennium, and he has to go into stasis. But before he goes into Before he goes into stasis, he commissions Call, who's one of their scientists, to design a new breed of Space Marine because he knows that humanity's going to need another tool in its toolbox because it's going to get to such a point where humanity's going to need rescuing, and the standard Space Marine formula isn't going to be up to snuff, because as Space Marines keep getting developed, they have to use the same genetic material and then it's diluted, and so they get less and less powerful. And so Rabute Gilliman, he gets strucken down in battle, goes into stasis. They revive him 10,000 years later, and he comes out with a new breed of Space Marine who has like extra organs, is bigger, stronger, faster. Mm-hmm. And then him and Call, the other scientists, establish a way in which normal Space Marines can cross, quote unquote, called the Rubicon, to become the new version of Space Marine, in which they go through surgery and they get all of the new organs and everything like that. Yeah, so that's
the designer organs.
Yeah. So it's called the Rubicon Primaris. You cross the Rubicon, and it's this very invasive, aggressive, horrible surgery in which a standard Space Marine, like you already saw, a genetically modified super soldier, gets even more powerful. But it's such a traumatic experience and such a life-threatening surgery that I think like 40% of the people of the Space Marines who attempt to get the upgrade, they fail and die.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but it's called the Rubicon Primaris. Yeah.
Rubicon Primaris.
Yeah, you're crossing the Rubicon to become a Primaris Space Marine, which is the new breed of Space Marine, which is bigger, stronger, faster. Can take a lot more damage and survive. Yeah,
we'll have to try and play this game.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of fun, dude.
Because I think you said like Andrew knew a little bit about it, so he's probably down to play.
Yeah. It's I mean, games take like several hours to complete sometimes.
That's my favorite type of game.
Yeah, it's great, dude. You just put your guys down on the table, you roll dice and everything. And it's like the great thing about it is you can paint your models, you can name them, create them, and you don't even have to use an established Space Marine chapter. Like, because there are different flavors of Space Marine, and there are already established chapters in the lore. You don't even have to use one of those. You can just make up your own. You can come up with your own lore and everything. Yeah, it's pretty sick. It's pretty sick. Yeah. Which is what Warhammer is about: coming up with your own thing and trying to build a story around that, or just adopting an already established chapter and working with their story.
I'm gonna make a new chapter of just only sexy Marines. You have to be a 9 or a 10 to be in our chapter. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, like there's even like I said, there's whole like female armies, and like the Sisters of Battle. This is them. But yeah, they just think like female space marines essentially, but they can't go through the surgery.
Badass.
Yeah, they're badass as fuck, dude. Yeah. They take flame. They're
Is that like a nun?
Yeah, they're zealot. Yeah, they're zealot nuns. They're zealot warrior nuns. Think of that. Think of that. They're zealot warrior nuns with like chain swords, like giant chainsaws that are swords, and giant bolters and flamers, and yeah, they burn people and roast them and everything.
Oh, this is sick.
Yeah, they are badass.
They
dude.
do look like Bionicles, though.
Yeah,
A little bit.
but they're such a cool army. And the second you make a female space marine, it undermines them and it makes them completely unnecessary. You know?
How does it undermine them and make them unnecessary?
Because the space marines are like super genetically enhanced and modified, whereas the Sisters of Battle, they're just throwing in power armor and they're super well trained and they're incredibly zealot. They're the militant armor of the militant arm of the ecclesiarchy, which is the state church.
Okay.
And so if the church wants to dispatch an army to go kill some heretics, or the space marines need some backup, or guardsmen, like the normal standard guardsman who's like just a normal soldier, he needs backup, you dispatch the Sisters of Battle. And they're really good against chaos, anything heretical against the
how
religion.
terrifying it'd be if you were like just like a regular soldier, and then they're like, hey, this super soldier that could take out like 100 of you, he needs help. Go help him.
Yeah.
You know how terrifying it'd be to be in a situation where you're like, oh, hey, he needs backup. And you're just like, what? What the fuck am I going to do?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm reading the Siege of Terra series right now, which is like this giant, super drawn out siege that takes place in the 40K setting. And the Space Marines are dispatched along the line with like normal guardsmen, normal soldiers, to like kind of keep the morale up and everything. Because you see this like giant, genetically super modified super soldier in like invulnerable armor fighting next to you and killing shit. You're gonna fight a little bit harder and give you a little bit of peace of mind.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. So that's what's going on with that. But it's like, don't change what's already established. Yeah. And then like a lot of the cope that comes from people where it's like, this is the 41st millennium and humanity's like in such a decrepit state that tons of knowledge has been lost. And so people are saying, people just didn't know that there were female custodies, because it never come up, because like there's such a loss of information and loss of knowledge in the 41st millennium, and humanity's in such a decrepit state and whatnot, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, dude, that's a horrible, because like the minute you say that lore isn't established and lore shouldn't be respected, you've essentially destroyed the entire setting, because like how much, like, so you're saying if nothing's written in stone, nothing's set, and there's no rules for anything, you might as well just go out into the woods and play with your little soldier army plastic men and just smash them together.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter at that point anymore.
Because it's just fuck the rules.
Yeah, fuck the rules, fuck the story, fuck the setting. Yeah.
And it's just like all this work that people have put into it. Just makes it.
Right. Yeah.
I think I heard
that's enough of my rant about Warhammer.
I think I heard you in a previous episode. You talked about you read a lot, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm a big reader.
I love reading. So I've just recently finished this book. It's called The Art of Resilience. And it was written by he's a Gymshark athlete. His name's Ross Edgley. I don't know if you know who he is.
No.
But so basically it's this guy who's insane.
Okay.
No.
All right.
He's super, he's like one of the most positive people ever, but he's at least from everything that he portrays. But it's like he does all these like random like feats of strength and things like that. Usually he'll do it as like a fundraiser. So like some things that he's done is he like climbed a 10-meter rope until he had climbed the height of Everest.
Wow.
He did that in 24 hours.
Jesus.
He pulled a Jeep Wrangler like the length of a marathon.
Whoa.
And he like did like a triathlon carrying a 100-pound tree. But the biggest thing that he's done is which is what this book is about, is he swam all the way around the UK.
Ooh. Oh, okay. I know who you're talking about.
Exactly.
Now. Yeah.
So basically the whole book is about like his swim around the UK, his like mental process, how he prepared for the swim, because there's a lot of planning that he had to do to make sure that his body could withstand the swim, because he jumped in the water and then he didn't touch land until he was like had finished. So he would just like swim for up to like 12 hours a day. And then he would like hop on the boat and like sleep, or he would do like supplemental workouts to make sure that other stuff like was like not breaking down. And he had to deal with like the effects that salt water has on your body over that amount of time.
Hypothermia as well.
Hypothermia.
Yeah.
I mean, he had to wear a suit, and he did it. He tried to do it mostly in the summer months, although it took him like 5-6 months to do it. It was like 157 days.
Christ.
Insane. And like swimming through jellyfish and whatnot.
Oh.
He's part of like reading that book's part of what got me into wanting to like do like a triathlon, because I was like, he's this insane endurance athlete who's like, he's gone to like college and studied a bunch of like, you know, kinesiology and things like that. And it's like, this guy knows how the body works and how to like make it indestructible, basically.
Right. He knows how to build the V12 engine and then make it bulletproof as well.
Exactly.
That's so
and
cool.
That's exactly what he's been doing. He talks about how there's this concept in I don't know if it's kinesiology or whatever, but it's like it's called the J curve, and it's talking about basically how your immune system responds to certain intensities of working out. So your immune system, it gets really strong, like with more like the more you work out to a point. If your body's not used to like running a marathon or something like that, and you just try and run a marathon all of a sudden, your immune system will actually take a dip, and you'll be more susceptible to like getting sick and things like that, just because your immune system isn't used to it and it's trying to like recover. But it's super interesting, super informational, and it's really inspiring too to read.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, because I'm very interested more in fitness than I have ever been. And
Yeah, because you said you have that 50K coming up.
yeah, I got that 50K this year, and then I'm doing an ultra. It's a full marathon, but it's also a Spartan race. So you're running the length of a marathon, but you're also doing a Spartan race, which is a multitude of things: rope climb, you're lifting a boulder over your shoulder, like moving it from A to B.
Kind of like almost
Throwing
like
a
an
spear.
Atlas stone, or no?
Yeah, a lot like an Atlas stone.
That's
exactly
insane.
like an Atlas stone. And then you have to pull a sled, all this other bullshit. You have to jump through, like, you know, go under barbed wire, swim through mud and everything. And yeah,
That sounds intense.
yeah. So it's a full marathon of that.
When is that?
I think it's this September. Yeah, it's this
September.
September here in Seattle. So
Okay.
I'm really excited for that.
That's
I
insane.
want to get a team together for it. Yeah. But
That'd be fun.
yeah. So you don't have to do the full marathon thing with me, because I want to do that. Plus, I also want to do the 10K and the 5K that they have that same weekend. So
I'd
it's
be
like
down for like a
it's-
10 or a 5K.
Yeah, it's like a full weekend event, and so they have the marathon on one day, and then they have the 10Ks and the 5Ks on 2 other days.
Yeah.
And so you can get the pass to do all 3. And so I think I'm going to do all 3 in one weekend.
Good God.
Yeah, it'll be really fun.
You're going to be tired.
Oh yeah, it's going to hurt so bad.
You're
Yeah.
for sure going to have to carb load and everything like that.
Yeah, I'm excited. I get to gorge myself before eating that, and then before doing that, and then I also got that 10,000 calorie workout next month that me and Sterling are going to do together.
That's next month.
Yeah, that's next month. Yeah, we're still picking. I think we're going to do it either the second or third weekend of May, and so that'll be interesting. That'll be interesting to see how that works.
Really?
Yeah.
What exactly do you have planned for that? Like,
So
you said there's a hike involved.
yeah, so about 18 to 20 miles of hiking and slash running, and that's in the morning. The night before, because we're going to start at like 10 p.m. And then 24 hours limit, and so 10 p.m. to 10 p.m. the next day. Going to do like a long distance walk the night before with a light jog, and the next morning's the hike with a trail run, and then after that, short walk with weightlifting and a HIIT workout, break, another weightlifting and HIIT workout sesh, and then a long distance walk / run.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we're just, for the HIIT workouts and the weightlifting, we're just going to try and hit every muscle group that we can that isn't sore.
That long distance run at the end is going to be.
Yeah, it's going to be a walk run.
Oh,
It's gonna be
yeah.
a walk run. So, yeah, but we're going to see how close we can get to 10,000. I'm going to try and get there.
I think you can do it.
Yeah, because the most I've ever burned in one day is close to 4,000. Close to 4,000, and that took me. It was like a long afternoon.
I think the most I've done has been like 3, but like it was on a really long hike, and I was tracking through my Apple Watch, but it died halfway through the day, and so I think
You just guesstimated.
yeah.
Yeah. That's I did I did about 6,000. That was when I was living in Virginia. I did a hiking / trail running out there, out in Shenandoah Valley.
People who just like trail run, like are insane. I know you do that sometimes.
I love it.
It's
I love it.
Insane to me because especially like I'm sitting there trying not to roll an ankle, just walking, and then they're like, I'll be sitting there like on this trail, and then this insane person just blasts past me, and I'm like, "You're running?" They have nothing but like a water bottle in their hands, and I'm like, "Okay, dude."
Yeah. I'll do like a small Camelback on my back, and then maybe a light trail mix. Very light trail mix, and then my water, and that's it.
Just get some fats in car.
That's literally all that's in my bag. Maybe a couple of J's. That's about it. But I'll take a bag. I'll take a bag, smoke a joint, or take an edible, and then hit the trails and run for 2 hours.
The poor man's speedball. A bang and a J.
I love it, dude. I love it. I get really introspective and just go for a run, and I have amazing stamina when I'm stoned and running on the trails. And also just it feels better getting in touch with nature, and it's easier to do it.
I love being in nature.
So yeah, that's me. That's me. Yeah. I need to cut down on the weightlifting and get more into trail running so I can be ready for that 50K, because I haven't run a full marathon in a few years.
I've never run a full marathon.
I haven't completed a full marathon in a few years. Yeah.
I think even when I did cross country, the most that I ran was like maybe 10 miles in a day. Something like that.
Yeah. I've only ever done 2. I've only ever done 2, and that was back in like 2017 and 2018.
Okay.
So I haven't done one since.
Was that like fresh out of military or
no, I was still in.
You were still in.
Yeah.
So you're in good shape.
Yeah, because I did one in Richmond, and then I did one down near San Diego.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was in really good shape.
San Diego one must have been hard with how hot it was.
Yes, it was very hard. Actually, it wasn't that hot. It was like mid 70s, like high 70s.
Well, then, never mind.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad.
Never mind. It was easy as hell then.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're actually a bitch.
Well, the hardest part of a marathon is like the very end of it, or just before the very end.
Isn't it like the last like 4 miles or something like that?
The last mile for me was fine. It's the last like 6 miles before that last mile. So like when you hit like mile 18, mile 19, and you're in that low 20s to high teens area, for me, that's where my mind starts to drift. And I'm just like, I've been doing the same thing for over 2 hours at this point.
Yeah.
This is so fucking boring.
That's part of why I want to do a triathlon as opposed to like a marathon, is because it's like, even when I'm doing my cardio, like after the gym normally, if I'm like running or like if I'm biking for like 45 minutes, I'm like, okay, like I'm getting kind of bored. Like I want to switch it up.
Right. And because of the boredom, you start thinking about all the pain and discomfort you're in.
Yeah.
Like you find
it's a bad coping mechanism.
Yeah. It's hard to focus on anything else when you're in that state. So.
The buddy of mine that I went to college with recently started running marathons, and he, it was funny because in college, he was a little bit of a heavier guy, like, and just like he started running marathons, he took it real serious. He slimmed down so much.
Yeah.
Crazy. He slimmed down. He's like documenting his progress. He wants to like, I think, did they just do the Boston Marathon recently? Because I think he did that, or if he didn't, he's planning to, and he wants to place like top 3 or something.
I would assume it's later in the spring because Boston's so cold in the winter. I would assume it's later in the spring.
I remember I talked to him, and he's like he wants to be like top 3 or like win it or something like that. I was like, that's insane.
That's ambitious.
Yeah, no, because he said his last marathon he did was like 3 hours. No, he wants to qualify for it. Okay, so and he said his last one was like 3 hours, like 40 minutes or something like that.
That's decent.
And he's like, in order to qualify, you have to be like at like 3 hours and 15 minutes or something like that. And I was like, so you're going to shave off a half an hour off of your marathon time? I was like, good luck. I mean, I know that if you can do it, that's insane.
Yeah, it's very hard. Yeah, because I've never gotten sub 3 hours 30 minutes on a marathon.
Oh fuck no,
ever.
Fuck no.
Yeah, that's because you're running at that pace.
Yeah,
and it's really tough to do. But Spartan race, I've never had that problem. Like I can run and sprint most of it.
Really?
Because it's like you're breaking it up with different events. So I'm running and then I break it up with monkey bars or a rope climb or something like that. And it just kind of takes my mind off of how much pain my legs are in and gives my body a break. That's why I love HIIT workouts so much, where it's just constant movement, where I'm switching in between different workouts, but I'm essentially giving each muscle group a break by hitting something different.
No, I love HIIT workouts. It's like the best way best way to like cut whenever I'm cutting
Yes.
is I'll do HIIT workouts or I'll do like intervals on a bike or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's great because like you said, it keeps your mind kind of guessing, lets some muscles relax.
Yeah.
but
And you keep your heart rate up.
You keep the heart rate up, but also it's like, it's not just up all the time. It's like up and then down, up and then down, because you're getting that kind of like lower heart rate like rest.
Mhm.
And it's, think of it of like how like a car, if you're like constantly accelerating and decelerating, if you're in the city, you get worse gas mileage than you do on a highway. And so it's like your body, from having to like ramp up so much, actually burns more calories, supposedly.
Yeah.
I don't know the science behind that,
I think so.
but
I think so.
it makes sense to me in my mind.
No, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually have this weird goal that I want to do at some point. I want to try for it sometime in my 30s is the world record for pull-ups in 24 hours.
Isn't it like 4,000 or something?
No, it's like over 8,000.
Good God.
Yeah, it's over 8,000. And so I figure, because I just did a year of doing 100 pull-ups every single day.
Yeah.
Or at least 6 days a week. And so I'm working up to 200 pull-ups a day. And then I figure if I work up to 300 and then 400, and then I can train for like a 6 months up into it and lose some weight. I feel like it's very doable. I feel it's doable. But yeah,
no, it would be insane. That would be a huge feat.
Mm-hmm.
How many do you think you can do at a time right now?
In one go, 25.
Okay, that's
25 pull-ups in one go right now. That's just me fresh.
Yeah.
And then I did 500 in one afternoon.
Good God.
Yeah. I mean, it hurt really bad. Like my hands were bleeding and stuff. Cause yeah.
I did that with like push-ups once in high school. And I don't know that I've ever had a pump like that ever. Like I remember I got done and I looked in the mirror and I was like, oh my God. Like I was like, I just felt like super pumped.
Yeah.
But I was like, because the only reason that I did it was one of the teachers, he posted that it was a challenge. And it was basically do like 500 push-ups in a half an hour. And like, it was basically it's an EMOM where you're doing every minute on the minute. And like you do like 15 push-ups every minute on the minute. So it's like you can do it and then you can rest for the rest of the minute. And then as soon as the next minute starts, you have to do your next 15.
Nice.
And at first it seems really easy. I think it ends up being actually like just over a half an hour. But like by the end, literally doing like finishing 15 in a minute is so hard. So hard.
Yeah. Yeah. What was I going to say? Oh yeah. Cause the most amount of push-ups I've been able to do in one go is when I was in boot camp. And that's all we did was calisthenics workout and tons of body weight exercises. I did 125 push-ups in one go. 125 push-ups without any breaks. Well, I'd break when I got to the top for like a few seconds.
That's different though.
And then keep going.
Without like breaking form or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I also want to do this thing. Have you ever heard of a backyard ultra marathon?
No.
Okay, so a backyard ultra marathon, it's this really cool thing that was established a few years ago by the same guy who did what's the name of it? It's this really difficult ultra marathon out in Barkley Marathons. It's out near Tennessee. But it's a backyard marathon where it's like a 5K each lap. And then if you have 20 minutes or something like that to complete the lap, I think like 20 to 30 minutes to complete the lap. And so you can take your time on it and then you come back and then you rest. And then there's like as soon as the time finishes up, you have to start a new lap. And so it's just whoever can keep going the longest. And it's like if you complete the 5K really fast, you get a longer break.
Oh.
But you can also kind of you can also stay on the track and keep going and like kind of take your time with it. And then you get a shorter break when you get back to camp. And then it's like you start off with like 100 people. And then see who's left, and that's the person who wins. And so people will end up running like 80 plus miles.
Good God.
Yeah, which is the backyard marathon. They're running for like 12 hours or something like that.
Terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to do one of those someday. That would be
sounds
really cool.
fun.
Yeah.
That sounds super fun.
But yeah, so it's really cool because you see human psychology play out where people get back to camp after they finish a lap and they're like 50 laps deep in at this point. And so you get to get back to camp while you're waiting for the next lap to go. And there's food and water and you get to sit down and relax. And then you see the timer start to click back down where you have to start a new lap. And you're like, Okay.
I think
I have to keep going. I have to keep engaging in more pain, or I can just sit here in this chair and relax.
I think it would almost be more beneficial to like so in that book he talks about how they have this like cycling record. I can't remember what it's called. But it's like basically it's a record of how far you can cycle in an hour. And he talks about how it's all about pacing. It's all about pacing. It's like you can't have like some laps where you're going really fast and then some laps where you're going really slow. It's all about, you have to have the steadiest of paces and calculate everything out.
Maintain, yeah.
So I think the best thing would probably be just to be like, go really slow.
Like probably like an 8-minute mile pace.
Yeah, where you're taking up all the time for every lap, and then you're just consistent. And you have sometimes where you like get some salt in you, get some hydration. That way your body doesn't break down halfway through. But like you're making it so that you're not really getting that time to sit down, let the lactic acid build up. You're just a machine.
Yeah.
And that would probably be the best way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, because you see people get back to camp in between laps, and there's a few more minutes of rest before they go back out.
And they're comfy.
Yeah, they're comfy, and then their team are like, the team who's assisting them in the run is like, all right, let's go, get up out of the chair, and they're just like, I don't know if I can keep going.
And the lactic acid is built up,
right?
so
and
it's
they're
like
in so much pain, and so but you see them like doing this mental battle with themselves, and then they're also arguing with their team, and then like the team's like, we drove all this way. We spent all this money. We're taking all this time to help you complete this thing. Keep going. And it's like, like people are arguing with each other and like trying to like force themselves mentally to keep enduring more pain. You know, like pain that they volunteered for.
Exactly.
You know?
I wonder what does the winner get?
I think you get a T-shirt.
Strong. Hell yeah.
I mean, that's most marathons. You might get like a $100 or $500 check for something, and then a shirt. That's most of the marathons, you know. But actually, let's take a quick break, and then we'll jump back into it. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Be right back, folks. And we're back. Welcome back to another What's a Podcast, folks. So we've been going for quite a bit now. Let's go ahead and we can move into some books, and then we'll move to recommendation station, and then close out the podcast here. Do you have any like good books? I know you mentioned that one already. Do you have any other good books that you've been reading lately or have read lately that really, tickle your fancy?
I mean, I was just reading, The Art of Resilience, obviously. That was a good one. That one's the one that I already mentioned. And the one I'm reading right now, it's like a therapy book. It was like this book that this girl that I was talking to, like we were going to read together, is called like, Why Has Nobody Told Me This Before? But it's basically just like talking about like positive thinking and things like that. But it's actually pretty good. Like there's a lot of like good information in there. And it's a, easy alternative to actually going to therapy.
Yeah. Cause I haven't been to therapy in years, and it's just not,
I've never done it.
No, I think it helped for the stage I was at in life, but I don't think I ever need to go back ever again. I don't think for a man who's like comfortable with himself and understands his purpose somewhat, it's really that necessary. Because it's like, it's just me going in and talking about my negative feelings and emotions. But it's like, as a man, it's like, if I told the world I felt bad, if I told the world that I felt bad and like I was depressed, the world would tell me to go fuck myself.
Yeah.
So
there's a whole,
why should I put any energy into that and ponder on that when I have duties and responsibilities that I have to follow through on? It's like me being sad and depressed shouldn't affect what I need to do. Because it doesn't change any of that.
Yeah.
I still have people counting on me, and I still have a job to do, and I still have responsibilities as a man that I have to execute, regardless of how I feel. So I don't feel like it does any good pondering on those feelings and talking about them and contemplating them that much.
I've heard some people talk about like how there's a difference between like how men and women are are supposed to be in therapy.
Yeah. Because
if you look at like women's motivational videos, it's always like, you're the best, you're the greatest, you're amazing, da 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 da. But whereas like men's like motivational videos are like, you're dog shit, you could be better.
Yes.
You could be way better, and
yes.
like whatnot.
Yeah. because like that's not how men cope with bad situations.
Yeah.
So like when you go out into war and like back to the Roman legions, back to the Roman Empire, when you're going out and killing barbarians, chopping their heads off and everything like that, getting swords thrown at you and spears and you're getting shot at and everything. You come back to camp at the end of it, you sit down with your other legionaries and soldiers and you kind of bond and laugh over what just happened, over the traumatic experience you guys endured. And just kind of like, you don't necessarily have to talk about what happened, but you kind of come to an understanding and are able to digest what you've been through. Whereas, like, if it was an all-female army, they'd be talking about their feeling and how fucked up that was. It'd be a completely different experience. And as such, men and women's therapy should be delineated like that. Yeah.
But what books have you?
Yeah. Have you ever read Buy Yourself the Fucking Lilies?
No.
That's a really good self-help book.
Really?
It's written by a woman and it's got a lot of womanly advice in it, but I found it very entertaining and very helpful.
Yeah.
She's a TV show producer for like comedy at Comedy Central in Hollywood. And it's just kind of it's like a memoir / self-help book that's also very funny, poignant, and accessible. Like there's nothing that really goes over your head and it's all very relatable. I really like that one. And then another one that I just reread is The Firm by John Grisham, which is a really fun crime novel where they actually made a movie out of it with Tom Cruise. But it's this guy who relocates to Memphis, Tennessee and starts working for this law firm, which as he gets deeper and farther into it, he realizes that it's a law firm for like the Italian mob.
Oh.
And so he realizes he's in danger and he's been being monitored and everything like that. And just, hijinks ensue. And I hadn't read it in a while. I'd read it back, I think maybe 6-7 years ago at this point. But I saw it on the shelf in my library and I just wanted to pick it back up because I hadn't read John Grisham in forever.
I need more fictional books in my like to read.
Yeah.
Because I went through this phase where I was like, I'm going to be well read. And then I just started adding books to my list and they're just all self-help books. And then I was like, I'm just going to add to myself and make me like the best I can be. And then I'm like, I need some actual like entertainment books as well. Like I can't just be like,
right.
Always,
Yeah, always doing nonfiction studying work essentially.
Exactly.
Because that's how it works for me when I'm studying a subject, like when I'm studying for like an Azure certification or I'm doing something like connected to my field of work, which is IT.
Yeah.
And I'm studying for a particular certification or I'm trying to achieve something else and I have to read like a dry nonfiction book in order to do it. What I like to do is I get a really exciting, fun novel that I really want to enjoy, and then it gets me into that headspace for reading and absorbing that kind of information. And then I move to that other nonfiction book, and then it's so accessible, and I take in a lot more. And so,
that's a good strategy.
Yeah. Also, I just love reading. Love reading. It just really calms my brain down after, because like 4 hours on YouTube or TikTok, your attention span and your brain are completely fried. Like you can't. It's almost impossible to think.
You feel exhausted after.
Yeah, completely.
That's why, like when I was really into like my routine and everything like that, I remember I was going to bed at like 9 every night and waking up at 5. But I was like doing that, but before bed every night I would like read.
Yep.
As opposed to like scrolling and whatnot. And I felt so much better. Like at the end of the night, I felt like I actually was unwinding as opposed to just sitting there just absorbing media.
Yeah, and you wake up a lot more refreshed.
You do.
Yeah, because your brain, it just goes to sleep easier and you rejuvenate yourself a lot better during the night.
Yeah, people need to read more.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's so much better for your brain. But we'll go ahead and move into recommendation station. Is there anything you want to recommend to the audience? A book, a movie, some music, anything like that?
I don't know. I mean, there's a book that I read that like really helped me, but it's also a really well-known book. Like everyone knows it. It's How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Okay, yeah.
Everyone knows that book. It's a great one.
If you haven't read it, I'd recommend it. Yeah,
very much so.
Good.
If you haven't read it already, I mean, give it a read. It's it's basically just like a field guide of just like, hey, how to be a normal person and interact with other people.
That's dope.
But yeah.
Okay, so my recommendation is A Reporter's Life by Walter Cronkite. So Walter Cronkite was that old TV news broadcaster from back in the day. He was the guy who, you know, when the moon landing happened, he was the reporter on TV announcing it and telling everyone what happened.
Oh yeah.
And it's a autobiography slash I think it's more of a memoir actually, but it just kind of takes you through his journey, and it's amazing to see his perspective, like his perspective inside looking out on the world of journalism and what it used to be and what it used to represent. And even going back to, it made me watch his JFK assassination announcement, and he just says what happened. And it's such a contrast to now, where you go on CNN or Fox News and people are really emotional about what they're delivering, and they're like really over the top about it, and it seems really insincere.
Yeah.
Whereas Walter Cronkite, when JFK was assassinated, he announced on the air, and he just looks into the camera, John F. Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas this morning at 9:12 a.m. Blah blah blah. We'll take the vice president's role, and blah blah blah, and execute the roles of office.
Yeah.
And then he just moved on to the next thing. And it's like you see him like trying to work through it. He's announcing to the country that the president has just been murdered.
Yeah.
But he's detaching himself from his emotions, but you see him trying to work through that. You see him taking his role and responsibility as a journalist and a reporter very seriously, and treating it with a level of magnitude that is missing nowadays. Yeah. And it's so depressing to see. It's not depressing, it's inspiring in a way, but it's just sad to see where we think of journalists nowadays. I mean, as compared to when they were a thing, and journalism was held in such a high regard.
Yeah, because like back when it started or whatever, it used to basically be like you're supposed to be impartial, right?
Yeah,
it's supposed to be like you just report what happened.
Right. The news was a utility.
Yeah,
they were never meant to make money. That wasn't their original purpose. Yeah. It's just the government made an agreement with the news agencies. We give you the airways. We give you access to the airways, and you tell the truth. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And then advertisement and money came into it. And
of course,
now where we're at nowadays,
the shareholders.
Right. And like, think about how we feel about a journalist now. When someone says journalist, we roll our eyes.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you're just doing some gotcha journalism. You're going to say some shit that just isn't true.
You're academics.
Yeah. Right. After you've lied to us about like countless wars and Trump being a Russian agent, it's like none of us really believe you guys anymore. Yeah. None of us believe the mainstream news, and it's such a stark contrast to when he was alive. Walter Cronkite, he's considered possibly the GOAT of journalism and reporters.
Interesting.
But yeah, it's super well written. It's all from his perspective. It takes you like from his young days growing up all the way to when he's broadcasting for the National News Service.
What did you say the name of the book was again?
Reporter's Life by Walter Cronkite. Yeah, I found it at a yard sale.
Nice.
I was just on a pile of books, and I was just looking through it, and I saw it. I was like, Walter Cronkite, that sounds interesting. Googled it, saw a ton of amazing reviews for it, and looked it up. Yeah, it flows really well, and again, he's impartial. He's impartial with his story.
Yeah.
He does some really messed up things. But he also does some great things. But he reserves judgment for himself.
Yeah.
He just tells you what happened, like a proper journalist should.
Nice.
And yeah, it's so well delivered, so well written, and it's a pretty easy read. So yeah, I'd recommend that book to everyone. And but that's the podcast. Thanks everyone for listening. Thank you, Cole, for coming on the podcast. It was a pleasure having you.
Thanks for having me.
I'm glad I could bust your cherry and
get you
in your first podcast.
I know we'll have to try it again sometime.
Absolutely. But thanks everyone for listening. Go ahead and support the show on Patreon. That's patreon.com/anotherworthlesspodcast. You can also go check out the show and all the clips on YouTube. That's Worthless01. It's listed under Another Worthless Podcast. Link to the show Instagram is also in the notes. Go like, share, and subscribe. You can also listen to the podcast on audio within Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Go rate and review us there as well. Helps out the show, helps us get some traction and more listeners and reach wonderful people like you. This has been another Worthless podcast. Thanks everyone for listening. Bye.